could classify that as fear mongering.
Yes, absolutely fear mongering, and it's sad because the damage doesn't go away after the election. This feeling that they're putting out there that they're trying to drill into people that doesn't naturally exist is something that is hurting the nation, and it's something that doesn't go away for generations. And I don't think, and CNN pushing this, I mean, literally, the title from CNN is Donovan Lewis shooting underscores persistent threat that Black people feel in Columbus. Oh. This is saying that you should be terrified if you're Black from police, and that isn't accurate.
But there is a huge ongoing narrative that police are disproportionately targeting Black people.
It's crap.
It is.
The numbers, we've had Black Harvard professors do the numbers on this. It's not real. We have the FBI numbers. We have various states' numbers. It's just not real. We've got polls from Minneapolis, the city that burned down, had a autonomous zone for over a year, where we actually had Derek Chauvin arrested. That city itself said 72% of the Black community said they want the same or more police.
That doesn't fit the narrative. They got to spread their lies.
But we're seeing this in so many ways. When we see things like what happened last night with Biden, as he came out, having Marines in the background. This is how bad this is. And I did it live yesterday, but that was live, so I didn't get a chance to reflect on it. But thinking about it, he came out. This is a taxpayer-funded election campaign propaganda, for one, because he told the nation nothing of importance. This had nothing to do with the nation. It had to do with Democrats and elections. So it was campaign propaganda. Then he puts 2 Marines in the background to emphasize the power of the federal government, as he then just says, we need to unify the nation, except for you evil Republicans. You guys, you can't be saved. You're the evil of this nation. How dare you obey or else? He threatened the American people. This was a step towards dictatorship. Tell me if you guys thought I'm wrong on any of that.
Nope. 100% agree with you.
Didn't mention Afghanistan, didn't mention the recession that we're in. He didn't mention anything about the Americans that have been abandoned now in Ukraine. He didn't mention the southern border that's wide open, the drugs that are coming into the nation. He didn't mention a plan for the food shortage that's supposed to start in October. He had no plans for anything. All he can say is, Republicans, bad. America first, bad. You're evil. You better obey or else. I can't stand it.
Well, they also never mention the massive amount of food production facilities being shut down and burned down nationwide regularly.
Yeah.
They don't want to put the things that are going to get people thinking about what's really going on.
Well, the public is not supposed to think. I mean, right. I was just showing you this earlier, and I'll show it to everyone now on the screen. People aren't supposed to think. This is an example of how much people are not supposed to think. Today, September 2nd, we just got the August unemployment number. Unemployment increased 0.2%. Every other time, if it was a Republican in there, like Bush or Trump, you would have seen this plastered over every single headline. Unemployment went up. Unemployment rises. Unemployment rate increases. But because it's Biden and we're 68 days away from an election that Democrats are going to lose, they say instead of 3.7% unemployment, they say job growth slows. Well, if it's slowing, that means unemployment is increasing. They say pace of hiring has slowed, which means people are not working. Unemployment's increasing. They're talking about the unemployment rate. 315,000 jobs added, wages rise, but there's less people working. They don't want you to think. They want to make sure that they can maintain power. And this is how deceptive it can be. I think it's rather insulting. What he just says there, the sacred flame still burns now in our time as we build America that is more prosperous, free, and just. Means make America great. It is an America first statement. So he's saying it right there, and he's also demonizing us, as I'm sure you're about to get to.
Yes.
I just want to put it out.
That is the work of the presidency, a mission I believe with in my whole soul. But first, we must be honest with each other and with ourselves. Too much of what is happening in our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundation of our republic. Now, I want to be very clear up front. Not every Republican, not even the majority of Republicans are MAGA Republicans. Not every Republican embraces this extreme ideology. I know because I've been able to work with these mainstream Republicans. But there is no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. And that is a threat to this country.
That he can stop right there. That itself is a declaration of authoritarianism. That is a dictatorship. It is saying, do not think, do not believe, do not speak unless you are saying something that is approved. That is denying the people who voted in 2020 against him. Remember, he is the man who says that you aren't black unless you vote for him. He's the man who has been dividing this nation, said that the unvaccinated are evil people and that he had no patience with them whatsoever. He has been dividing our nation step by step. And here he dares to say that you can't have a belief he doesn't approve of. Screw you. Screw you, Joe Biden. You are not a dictator. You don't get to say that. You don't get to define what is normal. Stop redefining the words we all already know and get out of my life. Do not micromanage my life or America. That's not his job. He is evil. I'm sorry. I'm very excited about this. MAGA Republicans did not burn down they didn't have riots for 120 days in Portland. They didn't burn down Atlanta and kill an 8-year-old child. They didn't burn down Minneapolis and have shootouts on live TV. MAGA Republicans haven't destroyed anything than a couple of doors and a window. I'm sorry, it's not the same thing. And by the way, that was 24 people versus 300,000 people who were present at the time. That's his worst argument he can possibly make. He cannot make it more. You know what? I'm ultra MAGA. I'm not just MAGA, I'm ultra MAGA. I want to make America the greatest it can possibly be. I believe in America first. You know how much I believe in that? I joined the Marine Corps to make sure I could put my life on the line because I believe America is the best place in the world. And after I got out the Marine Corps, I went over to Moscow to work, and it confirmed that America is the greatest nation in the world. And I kissed the ground when I came back home because it's that much better. Screw. Oh, I'm so angry about this. Sorry.
Oh, absolutely. Well, he wants to talk about the normalcy, but what was normal about the, the MAGA Republicans didn't cause Kenosha, and the MAGA Republicans didn't create the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, and wait, that was their side.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many very irregular and highly suspicious things that went on during this election that it really, really makes you wonder about our election system. And even if we accept the results of this election, I will almost guarantee if Donald Trump wins the next election, if he runs for office, which I'm pretty sure he will, unless they find some way to stop him, and he wins the election, guarantee that there will be all kinds of stuff coming out of the Democratic camp that the election was rigged. The election trusted. That our elections are undermined, etc.
They're setting it up already. Look at what he said, that they're already trying to empower election deniers. Remember that Time magazine published the fortification of the 2020 election by a cabal of internet elites and other members of power.
But and call themselves heroes.
Yeah, they're the heroes. But right now, people who are saying, hey, went to court, and the courts have decided in Georgia, in Wisconsin, in Michigan, that there were unconstitutional changes to our system. That is proven. That is a fact. That's what the courts have figured out. And because we're doing that, well, then we're trying to do something devious. We're getting rid of unconstitutional changes. But we're the bad guys. We're going to court and having a bunch of judges, look it over and say, you know what? That's unconstitutional. You can't do that. But we're the bad guys. This is so duplicitous. It is so deceptive. It is so evil. And oh God, I'm so, you don't know how bad I want to just curse up a storm, but let's go ahead.
I think I do.
And so when I see sources on the left saying, using the phrase that Biden crossed the Rubicon, that was beyond the pale. What was what was LBJ's thing? When you lose Cronkite, you've lost the war.
Yep.
There are people out there that would never had said anything even remotely against the Biden administration that have come out today and said this guy went too far. Who's handling this moron? Because he's clearly either lost it completely, if he ever had it, or I don't know. Has the guy really gone into Alzheimer's at this point? What is going on with this?
I hate to step back into it, but we elected the Gaff King as president of these United States.
This is not a gaffe. He said these things consistently.
No. What I'm saying is he was the Gaff King, and they made him president.
Yeah, they did. But you know what? It'd be one thing if he was just his normal, occasionally racist self that we've seen for 46 years.
Yeah.
That would be one thing, and we could live with that.
But this is war on America.
This is literally a war on half the nation. And this is a man who has consistently been saying people, the others, anyone who isn't approved is evil, whether it's the unvaccinated, whether it's blacks who didn't vote for him, whether it's someone who's Republican and God forbid they believe in America first. He is out there demonizing people, and he is trying.
They've shut him down. But he's exactly right.
I would be surprised if his stream is being policed. And because now he's being critical of Uncle Joe, the creepy kid sniffing pedo.
Oh, yeah.
They shut him down.
So
there he is.
Hey, he's back.
Oh, I disappeared?
Oh, yeah. Frozen.
Okay, it looked like
froze hard. Also got a hold of you.
Well, I'm pretty sure that the internet overlords decided to just smack me. They're smacking us because
that's what we said.
Yeah. They don't like what I'm saying right now.
Right. But no, with what you did get out, you couldn't be more correct.
It upsets me as someone who's been willing to put my life on the line for this nation, like many, many other individuals who have served in our military. It upsets me for someone who knows so many people who are police officers, fire officers, doctors, and nurses who have been on the front lines of everything that's been happening in our nation for decades. It upsets me as someone who has lived overseas and seen communism up front and close and talked to so many people who've come to America from other countries, and to see what he is doing, which is the same thing most of people coming from Russia, from North Korea, from Venezuela, from Cuba, they are running away from that kind of words and mentality as fast as they can. They're coming across, literally, people are getting in inner tubes in Cuba to escape to America across the Gulf of Mexico, to escape the kind of things that Joe Biden is saying right now. And if we continue to allow him to move forward with this propaganda, it is going to destroy our nation.
And the thing is, he's not the only one pushing this propaganda.
Well, yeah, it's his party too.
Okay, it's his party, it's the media. I mean, we're seeing it across the board. And the entire intent, and like we've said before, the entire intent of this is to do nothing more than to divide us further. And right now, they are really working hard to divide the Republican Party. Because they get the Republican Party divided, then they stand a chance in the 2022 elections come November. It is a state issue, and states should be allowed to take whatever measures that they deem proper and appropriate in securing their borders against immigration that they do not want in their state.
Yeah, I agree with that. Again, up to the point. And again, my exception is when we have known active threats, terrorist organizations that are capable, willing, and have plans to kill indiscriminately American citizens and the infrastructure of our nation. This is a actual active threat on a national level, because once they get in to the country, you don't know where they're going to go. The threat is imminent to all American citizens anywhere, and our infrastructure everywhere. Yeah, but I can see, and I know Dal is watching the show, Jan is watching the show. Thank you guys, and I know others are watching as well. And I get it. I get what they're saying about what they can see this. We all can see this. I guarantee you that these politicians, even Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is myopic when it comes to any issue other than the way she feels about the issue, they all see this and they get it. The problem is they are playing politics and they are using that against us, and the public reelects these fools. My God, that's so frustrating. See, people aren't thinking about this, how this ties into so many other things. Do you remember that there was the bipartisan Safer Communities Act was just passed? We have red flag laws, which we've talked about ad infinitum, and I absolutely oppose. Then we added in the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which paid states like Illinois last week to go out and take away the Second Amendment rights of individuals, about their citizens, and they're using your tax dollars to pay for that. And now New York City, with Mayor Adams, the practical progressive, as he described himself the day he got elected, is now going to have the New York City police going door to door, knocking on everyone's door to check their licenses, their permits, and to investigate each and every American citizen that has exercised their Second Amendment rights, their fundamental God-given rights. And the reason why he's doing that is because he's going to get paid by the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, because every single gun owner is now both an enemy of the state, according to Joe Biden, and they're a commodity. And that is terrifying. And we elect these people. We're re-electing these people.
Oh, now
let me jump in real quick on this bullshit right here that I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Because of the four of us, I can speak mostly about experience when it comes to this. When I left New York City in 1993, I had a New York City concealed carry permit. It was the most difficult piece of paper to obtain anywhere in the United States. It would have been easier for me to get a press pass to the White House press corps than it would be to get a New York City pistol permit. Okay, it's like rubber stamping gold. Rubber stamping gold. You write your own ticket for it. If they're gonna come around knocking on door to door now in 2022, wanting to check on your permits that people have already filed for, met and qualified for all of the restrictions, gotten approved for, purchased it, and done all of the bullshit that they've required to do. And now they're going to go do door-to-door checks after the fact?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Adams, pay attention to me. I want to hear from my old landlord saying that you and your brown shirts stopped at my frigging previous residence to find out what happened to my guns and my permit when it expired in 1995. And the NYPD still has never bothered to check up on where those guns went. Never bothered to check on where I went. Never bothered to check on where the permits went. You didn't give a shit then. Why are you going to give a shit now? You've never checked. My permit expired as far as anybody in NYPD knows. My guns are off in the ether. Each one of them now an unregistered firearm floating around somewhere. You failed to do the job that you were supposed to do back then, and you're failing to do the job you're supposed to do now, except now you're doing it on ideological lines, and it's a blatant violation of everything that we have constitutionally. And you people who still live in New York, you keep electing this moron and your governor, I don't want to hear you bitch, moan, and complain when you continue to live under the friggin' auspices of a friggin' prison state. You're ridiculous. You're ridiculous, and you should all be ashamed of yourselves.